different destructional phases. So what's happening right now, you have when I'm talking about this open vortex, you had the Philadelphia experiment that happened in 1943. That's when these naval intelligence officers they basically made a naval ship dematerialize in the atmosphere, and it jumped it all the way up to 40 years ahead of time in 1983 in Montauk, New York, when you're talking about the Montauk Project. So with that experiment in itself, it basically manipulated the fragment of time, and it threw off the planet by 3 years, because from 1940 to 50 and 60 and so on and so forth, you had these fourth dimensional portals that opened up naturally on the planet. So now the fragment of time that has been manipulated. So it goes from 1943 to 53 all the way up into 2023 now. So that's why the Galactic Federation, they gave the plutocracy and the oligarchs, they gave them the technology to build CERN, because CERN was originally made to put the planet right back in balance. So, but they use it for devilishment when they open up these portals, so they can have archonic energy come to the planet to basically have some type of self-preservation in the three-dimensional paradigm, because they want the matrix system to keep going.
So let me ask you this, BDELL. If the Galactic Federation gave them the technology of CERN, we all know who this devil is that we deal with on a consistent basis in this realm. You mean to tell me they didn't know that they was going to get tricked by these folks, that the parasitic elite? They really thought the devil was going to use CERN for the better of humanity?
I mean, I'm pretty sure they pretty much, gave them a chance, but everybody, we have, free will to do, do
I'm just joking. I'm like that. I'm like, but wow, I heard, let me see something real quick, BDELL. I heard, didn't CERN just turn on the machine and something happened? Like, let me see if I see several. No, I thought I read an article that said CERN recently. Let me just give me 1 second. While I'm doing this, hold up, y'all. Okay, no. All right. Yeah, I was just checking. I want to make sure something, y'all. All right. So what now? This, I mean, just like the last time you got on here. When you get on the show, you take off running, brother, and you don't waste no time, and you get right to it, and I appreciate that. That makes it, information is good. You make information very interesting, and that's important for our people to be and not be boring to our people. Our people, we're in this era of being stimulated by everything. So I feel as though the way you present information makes people want to tune in and listen. They don't have to tune into the garbage. They could get stimulated by this amazing cosmic information that you present to the people. So I appreciate that, my brother. I want to talk about now, since you're talking about the Galactic Federation, and I want to talk about the Anunnaki, because you mentioned the Anunnaki on your channel, and somebody else said, I heard a couple of people say, yo, the Anunnaki's returning. Yo, the Anunnaki did this. I'm like, what the Anunnaki got to do with what's going on now? I got to talk to Billy Carson to see what's going on. So talk what's up with the Anunnaki, brother? What they got to do with this?
So the Anunnaki has a lot to do with everything right now. So that's why you're seeing many different UFOs in our atmosphere, right? So this is all, like, I did a video talking about the 7-year tribulation period, because 2023 is the inception point of when everything is supposed to be going through a transitional process, right? Because everything is acclimated to the sun cycle, and the sun cycle is connected to a matriarchal energy. So everything right now, as far as the UFOs, they're terraforming the atmosphere to give the planet right back to the seeds of Enki, who got the birthright stolen from the seeds of Enlil, who is connected to the black nobility. So I just did a video not too long ago talking about the delineation between the fezzes versus feathers. So that's all, basically the indigenous people of the planet versus the black nobility, the blackamoors, who basically stole our birthrights through theological, spiritual systems and things of that nature that's acclimated to the socio-political aspect of civics and things of that nature. So also, when you're talking about these UFOs, these fourth dimensional energies is coming in. that is creating the open vortex to where they can come in from the 19th galaxy, right? Because the inception point of where the Galactic Federation comes from, or the Anunnaki, these Riskians, they come from the 19th galaxy, the 8th planet. So what they're doing is when you see like red iron oxide clouds in our atmosphere, that is basically a symbology of destruction and calamity, because the planet has to go through a cleansing process. So everything is being reconstructed to go back into its original state. So that's why, you know, a lot of people are not understanding this whole phenomenon about UFOs, because UFOs, they're able to dematerialize and go into fourth octave ether, because they work on an anti-gravity reactor, because it has its own gravitational field. So when you see these UFOs, they're basically terraforming the atmosphere that basically manipulates the magnetic field. The magnetic field depletes the ozone layer, and the ozone layer, that's when you have that fourth dimensional energy coming in. So everything right now that's taking place is based on the sun cycle, because everything that was galvanized by the matrix system, by the oligarchs, happened during the Piscean age under a Saturnian energy.
So the UFOs are basically causing what they call global warming. Is that what it said?
Yeah. This because it's like I said, because it has the ability to manipulate the grid. So the grid is based on a magneto-hydrodynamic photon holographic reality. So the photons is what is created by subatomic particles that are cube shaped. So what it's doing is basically dematerializing the atmosphere to where you can have this heat come down and terraform everything on the planet. So that's where you get your whole concept of global warming. So because it's that fourth dimensional energy coming in.
BDELL, this shit sound like a sci-fi movie, man. This is some wild, interesting shit. I ain't gonna lie to you. This is some wild, interesting information, and wow, it sounds like a sci-fi movie, my brother. So you said they what's up with you know, so much talk about Enki and Enlil from a lot of people in the YouTube community as of the last couple of years. What's up with them now? Where they at now? If the Galactic Federation wants to return the planet back to the seeds of Enki, where's Enki and where's Enlil at this present moment?
Well,
is that a collective consciousness? I'm like, what is that exactly?
Well, the seeds of Enlil, well, the best way I can explain it, well, the seeds of Enlil, you can tell who they are. They put themselves in governmental systems. They control any form of monotheistic religion. They're inside organizations, the Boule Society, and things of that nature. So Enlil himself, he came down, I think it was like in the 1980s or whatever. There's a publication that's been put out talking about how he came down and he was worshipped inside this village and things of that nature. As far as Enki is not on the planet, because there's this god that they call him King Yahweh. But when you understand the etymology of the tetragrammaton, Yahweh means agreeable and disagreeable. Enki would never call himself Yahweh. That's a term for Enlil. So that's the difference between the two, because it means agreeable and disagreeable, half Anunnaki, half Draconian reptilian.
Very, very interesting. Very interesting. I asked this to a couple of my guests, and I like to hear different perspectives on it, because it's such a phenomenon happening with everybody. And I don't think I asked you this the first time. That I asked you about the ringing in the ears, because that's like happening at an all-time high right now.
You asked me that the last time.
What did you say? I forgot. What did you say, my brother?
What I said was it's basically kind of like it's like a signal. It's like a phone. It's like a phone call trying to signal you in. So, and when you get a lot of ringing in the ears, the best thing to do is to meditate, to receive that energy. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like when you a lot of people don't reap the benefits of their prayers and things of that nature, is because when they pray, you put your affirmations and your blessings out in the ethers. You're supposed to meditate to receive the energy. That's the difference. So when you get these ringing in the ears, you're basically trying to channel in a message. You're supposed to be in a state of meditation to receive that fourth and fifth dimensional energy that's trying to, channel in with you.
When I was young, and I want to salute you. You a young brother bringing this information, so you're younger than me. But when I was young and television ruled the world, it wasn't the internet. They used to disrupt the television program, and they used to say, this is a test from the emergency broadcasting center, and then it will go, and that sounds like the shit in our ears. So do you think that was a form of programming when they used to play that on television? Do you think that's a form of programming? Because it sounds like what a lot of people's hearing in the ear.
Yeah, because they know, especially, you know, when it comes to so-called black people, they know that the octave vibration in the frequency has a certain cymatic, and it's acclimated to the carbon, and carbon is a derivative of graphene, which is connected to melamine formaldehyde, so it's able to absorb all those frequencies, to where this is how intelligent melanin or carbon is. It's able to become acclimated to anything, whether it's positive or negative. It's kind of like, you ever seen the movie Meteor Man?
Yes.
Remember when he was able to galvanize his metaphysical powers? When he touched that comet, anything that he touched, you know, that became acclimated to his characteristics of who he was as a superhero, whether if it was positive or negative. He'd touch a book and he absorb all the information. So that's what the same thing does when it comes to these sound wave frequencies. It becomes acclimated to who we are, whether it's positive or negative. It can basically terraform the melanocytes in our molecular structure.
Indeed. So, you know how, you know, I'm not going to, when 2020 hit and that thing broke out, and I'm not going to say the name because they were shutting everybody's channel down. But you know what I mean? Everybody knows what I'm talking about. Another conversation that was happening simultaneously was the 5G conversation, and they was shutting people down for that as well. But and then a lot of conscious folks were saying how 5G was going to mess us up a lot. Now, is 5G, say we go to 6G, 7G, 8G, is that the same way with our melanin, where our melanin will adapt to wherever the technology goes, no matter how bad it is for us? Our melanin will adapt, and it will actually start to benefit us more than it will start to hurt us because of our melanin? And that example you gave with Meteor Man?
It depends on if you have any type of nanogenetic mind control that's inside, you know, your neurological capacity. So what it's able to do is, when you have these 5G frequencies, when it's able to when they intensify it, and you have these when you have these basic these metals inside your molecular structure, what it's able to do is, this is where you get this concept of zombification. So when you have nanogenetic mind control stem or receivers inside your body from genetically modified foods, or whether you take in the Jabberwocky, I call it the draconian juice. So what it's able to do is, you know, when you have these 5G frequencies, it becomes acclimated to those metals, to where it can basically take over your avatar. So now when you have, while at the same time, when you have these fourth dimensional energies coming in, when you have the UV radiation light spectrum speeds up in vibration and it activates the sun, what it does is it breaks down those metals inside your brain capacity and inside your molecular structure. So this, like I said, it coincides with zombification, because they know at the time of when the sun is at solar maximum around 2025, they know that we're going to have another form of pestilence again, when you're talking about the, you know what.
Yeah.
So what happens is the nanotechnology that's connected to the 5G frequency, it dematerializes the two frontal lobes of the brain, and it puts a strain on the hypothalamus gland, which activates the frequency of hunger. So that's why they said that in 2025, the pole shift can activate cannibalism.
Wow.
Yeah.
Whoa. Wow, man. So in terms of let's talk about in terms of sun, the amount of sun we're getting at this time. Do you think that's probably the most important thing we should be engaging in right now, is sun activity and getting as much sunlight as possible?
Yeah, most definitely, because the more sun you get, like I said, it causes a reconfiguration. Because I think in my last video, I was telling people how you got many different forms of intrinsic metals. So even if you bend a metal out of shape, when it's acclimated to intrinsic solar radiation, or just heat in general, what it's able to do is able to reconstruct back into its original form. So the same thing happens to our molecular structure, because we have every element inside of our body. When you're talking about the periodic table, we have all these, you know, monatomic gold, intrinsic metals. It's all inside of our molecular structure. So this is where you have the unraveling of the junk DNA. It's basically the same concept. So you're supposed to get as much heat as possible when you out in the sun, you know.
Indeed.
Absorb all that solar radiation, because the reason I say that also is also connected to the fact that, you know, everything right now is being manipulated in a form of biochemical warfare. So it's going to be to a point where you're going to have to perform ultra fast internal conversion to where you're going to have to transmute yourself by being a breatharian. I don't know if everybody's ready for that whole concept yet, but it's going to get there one day to where you're not going to be able to eat or drink anything, because everything is basically going to be compromised for biochemical warfare. Because I told you the wars with the mind, because we entering the mental plane, the ethereal plane, the fourth dimension.
Now, you mentioned the Galactic Federation, and people hear that term, but I want you to let us know, who does that comprise of? It sounds like an amazing name, but who exactly? We hear the Anunnaki, but the Galactic Federation sounds like a group. So who is this group running around making all these decisions, terraforming the skies and this and that? Who are these people?
Well, you have Riskians, and then you also have some of the Yagigi. You got the Dogons that was constructed when you're talking about the Dogon tribe of Mali, who taught them how to map out the stars way before NASA was created. You also have Andromedans. You got some good ones of those. You have Anunnaki, and then you have you got some Nubarians. Then you also have some Xylanthians. You got many different it's an amalgamation of, you know, many different extraterrestrial groups that basically work with the Galactic Federation. But the inception point of it all is galvanized by the Riskians. You also got Lyrans. The Lyrans are the cat people, so that's why you got the Sphinx in Egypt, which is also in alignment with the Leo star constellation as well. So
the Sphinx is from the Lyrians?
Yeah, yeah.
So why did they put that here? Why did they put that there, the Sphinx?
Well, because they know that, you know what I'm saying, like the cats are able, they're able to look inside two different dimensional realities at the same time. They can be in the three-dimensional state in the physical, but they're able to be in the fourth dimension as well, just based upon the construction of the frequency of their eyes, because they have the same eye construction as a reptile. So like I said, you have as far as on the disagreeable side, you have Draconians. Then when I'm talking about the Majestic 12, you got Draconians. Then you have Pleiadians, and then you have Greys, and then you got Draconian Greys. So you got many different species of extraterrestrial races right now that's fighting over the planet. And then you got extraterrestrials inside. When you're talking about the Deiros, who are detrimental robotoids, then you got Teros, and then you also have the Shiyuk and the Danakil tribe who live inside the planet. That's where Yakub comes from when you're talking about Jacob of the Bible.
So how do this group that went, wow, that was okay. You gonna make people do a lot of research tonight, BDELL, for real. You're gonna have me looking up Lyrians and this and that.
I mean, Michael Jackson been putting it in our faces for a long time. Because a lot of the Galactic Federation, they got two different forms. They can basically dematerialize and shapeshift into a cat. I think it was a Remember the Time. Michael Jackson did that. Because a lot of the Egyptian pharaohs during that time, I mean, there's a lot of anomalies and stuff.
So they use cats to spy on this dimension. You know how like we send robots to Mars and all this rovers and shit like that. That's what they use cats for. Like the cat is down here and they're looking through the cat. Like, okay, is that what they're doing? Because that's just what
it's a possibility. Because
like whoa.
Because they're able to live on two different dimensional planes based upon the construction of the eyeball.
Wow. You mess with cats? You got a cat, brother?
No, I don't have any cats.
Okay. Wow, man. Yeah, cats are like spies. Yeah, they're like spies for extra dimensional. Wow, wow. Like I said, we gonna be doing a lot of research after this, y'all. So what races are these people, the Riskians and this one and the Greys? Are they brothers and sisters? Are there some that are like I see some that are like blonde hair, blue eyes? You see these gray beings. Is that all fantasy, or are these like brothers and sisters up there when you talk about all these different groups?
Well, the vast majority of them are melanated. But you also got many different groups that, you know, that stem from them, because when you understand microbiology and genealogy, you get the recessive from the dominant, you don't get the dominant from the recessive. So all these extraterrestrial races are a derivative of the carbonated, melanated Anunnaki beings. So like I said, you got some, matter of fact, there's a video on my page. It was a guy who died and he went into the ethers and he was shown these beings. He said the great majority of them are black people, and they were the ones in control of the ones. It's kind of like when you look at the hieroglyphics in Samaria, or you look at the hieroglyphics in Egypt, when you had the cat head people, then you got the bird head people. He was saying that there's a lot of them that have the same configuration, and they got the humanoid animals, but they're all being galvanized by a certain group of black extraterrestrials.
You know, I heard I was on Instagram, and on one of some Instagram posts was saying that the 90s movie about the cone heads, remember the cone heads? They said that's actually based on a extraterrestrial group. Have you ever heard anything about that? The cone heads?
Yeah, they call the Sini tribe.
Sini?
The Sini tribe. You got the Sini tribe that lives inside the planet, and they're basically the police force of the Deiros, because the Deiros was grafted out of the Teiros. The Sini and the Teiro are basically the same thing. They just got two different nomenclature titles. So the Teiro are actually the conehead beings, and that's Yaqub's mother, Jacob of the Bible. His mother become an adept. And when you become an adept, that puts you in alignment to where you become a master. So with you being at the door, that means that you have speculation to where you can tap into the energy of self-realization. So when you have self-realization, you do your shadow work, that puts you in alignment to where you can start to seek knowledge. So just because you don't feel like some people don't even think they're a light worker or a chosen one because they don't have a platform, they don't have a voice. You know what I'm saying? Your purpose might just be subjected to fixing your family, fixing your bloodline, or just edifying the people around you. You know what I'm saying? Because the concept of a chosen one, people just think like, I was chosen to play basketball, I was chosen to be a rapper, I was chosen to sing, and these are all man-made purposes. Because at the end of the day, if this world shuts down, the energy grid shuts down, the people who are the truth tellers, you know what I'm saying, the people who spread the information, the people who's trying to bring a dietary system, people teaching agriculture, those are your real chosen ones, because they're actually bringing a certain natural vibration to the planet. So for you to say that you want to start as a light worker, you are a light worker because you already at the path of Nasu. You're already at the door. So you looking at yourself from an internal level, you know what I'm saying, where you can tap into self-realization. So you don't have to, think that you're not, because you don't have a platform and not famous and stuff like that. That's all BS. That's all,